Hi guys, welcome to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another video of mine, and obviously this video is about Steve O'Donnell, and it looks like Stephen O'Donnell's going to return to Dundalk following the departure of Vinny Perth. Now, it's something I heard probably an hour or so after the cup final the Pats had, won against Bohemians, and from all the information I was getting, this was going to happen. Something you didn't want to be thinking of an hour after winning the cup final. And it's just something, as a Pats fan, first of all, it's a very, very, very big blow, massive blow. Dundalk will be delighted, I'm sure. I've no qualms with that at all, but I'll just read to see the Daniel McDonald's article based on this before I give my opinions and stuff. And so he says Stephen O'Donnell set for shock return to Dundalk following departure of Vinny Perth. Stephen O'Donnell is on course for a shock return to Dundalk after deciding that relocating to Louth is the best move for his career. As reported in Monday's Irish Independent, the Galwegian has always been the number one candidate to replace Vinny Perth, whose exit was confirmed tonight. O'Donnell is not tied down to a long-term contract with St.Patrick's Athletic, but discussions will still need to take place between the clubs to fully confirm a deal. However, the 35-year-old is attracted by the prospect of a return to the side where he enjoyed the best spell of his playing career. He will be joined in Louth by his assistant, Patrick Craig, who'll be making a full-time move over from Scotland. A pro-licensed coach will need to be added to the ticket, and it's understood a prospective candidate has been identified. O'Donnell was always Dundalk's first preference, which Drogheda boss Tim Clancy viewed as a strong alternative. This development is a shock for St. Patrick's Athletic after O'Donnell led them to the FAI Cup success on Sunday. It was always likely that he would be open to hearing what Dundalk had to say about their future plans, and the arrival of tech firm Stat Sports onto the scene in tandem with Andy Connolly is tied in with ambitious future plans that will give the next manager a chance to be competitive in the coming years. Just goes on to talk about Perth then as well, but I'm really focusing on O'Donnell, really. One more thing. A number of Dundalk players have stalled on their future pending confirmation of the managerial situation, with the imminent return of O'Donnell set to help the club in their attempts to tie down players that are dithering. Now, that's a big one as well, because Patrick Hooven was essentially either going to go to Pats or stay at Dundalk, to be honest. Now that O'Donnell's leaving Pats, going to Dundalk, he's probably staying at Dundalk. I'll talk about it more from the Pats side, to be honest with you, because I think it's a massive, massive blow for St. Patrick's Athletic. Finished second in the league, won the FAI Cup under O'Donnell, factually changed the dressing room culture at Pats, brought a bond back to the club, all those things. You felt like there was something to build on there as well into next season as well. And it was a very good project that he was leading. Obviously, that's in the dust now, completely. I'm not blaming Stephen O'Donnell here, though, to be honest with you, because he hasn't been tied down. He was out of contract. Why was he out of contract? Why did the club let it get to the stage at this point where he could be out of contract when they would have known that Dundalk were looking for a manager for a while and that O'Donnell could be on their hit list? I think there may have been discussions today with St. Pat's as well, but I don't know what they were over. If they're offering him a contract, it's far too late to put it that way. I do think, I know a lot of people say his heart is on Dundalk, etc., etc. I understand that. But at the end of the day, Dundalk, our club, as we speak, aren't in Europe. He was doing a phenomenal job at Pats, one that, would have been interesting to see how they fare next season, who could they bring in and things like that. He was doing an unbelievable job at Pats. And as a Pats fan, first and foremost, it's very, very hard to take, to be honest. I mean, we've only won the cup. You should be excited, you should be happy, and this just rips the whole soul out of the club again, in my opinion. Really does. It's a terrible situation they're in. I'd have serious question marks over the people at Pats and the board about this. I really would. Serious question marks. How they let this go on for so long without tying them down. Did he want players in to the club? and the club refused to match the ambitions. Now, I'm not saying Pats need to go out and do what Derry City done and spend this and spend that, but they're in a position, they're in a decent situation. They're not in a terrible, financially, they're not in the worst state. They've qualified for Europe as well. A couple of players have left in the last few days as well. That frees up wages too. You know, I think, in my opinion, I think he would have stayed had the club maybe tied him down earlier, and really shown him that they really wanted him to lead the club. I'm not saying they didn't, but you got to really show that properly. And a contract does do that. And I'm starting to think probably there was an issue with players as well and stuff like that as well. You know, I'm looking at Pats now. I imagine the likes of Robbie Benson will probably go with O'Donnell. That's my opinion. There's a couple out of contract still. There's a few that are in contract that are going to be very angry, in my opinion, about this as well. Extremely angry. I honestly believe that. You know, what does this do now to the culture of Pats and the dressing room, and in terms of them moving forward? Because it seems like it's one step forward and two steps back for Pats here, if I'm completely honest with you. It's just not a good situation for Pats at all. You see the other clubs like Shelbourne now investing on that, and obviously Derry and things like that, and other clubs. And, you know, it just leaves a question where Pats go from here, to be honest. It's not all about losing the manager. He built such a culture there. You know, players now, there's a big question mark, as I said. Over players are going to be reconsidering their future now. I think if O'Donnell signs on, I think most of the players that he wants sign on. And, you know, you're looking at it and saying who they can bring in, but where does that leave them now as well? Where does it leave them now for a manager? You know, there's a few managers linked. We've Tim Clancy linked, Ger O'Brien's we mentioned, and Ger Nash, who I think was a former under-23 coach at Ipswich. They're the ones at the top of my head that have been mentioned. But whereas personally, I'm a big fan of Tim Clancy. The other two seem, I don't know, it seems cheap, like a cheap option to get O'Brien in. O'Brien's did good work with the academy. I think he should stay with the academy. Jared Nash, I mean, you know what I mean? But whoever comes in is going to have a serious job in their hands at that club now, and trying to really, like, it's very difficult because that foundation is now broken, in my opinion, and will be broken. And even a good manager coming in is going to find it very, very difficult. There's going to be players disillusioned, I think, as well. And look, with Steve O'Donnell, I actually wish Stephen O'Donnell very well. I think he's done an excellent job at Pats. He's a good, nice fella as well. I think, you know, best of luck to him at Dundalk. And, you know, to Dundalk fans, you're getting a very good manager. Obviously a great man, you know him, former player and all, getting a very, very good manager as well. He may take a little time, but I'm sure he'll build up some kind of dressing room culture at Dundalk as well. And I think he'll bring some Pats players with him too. Yeah, look, it's just, it's extremely disappointing from a Pats point of view. It's disappointing as well. I think if I was a neutral, I'd be a little disappointed as well, because I think I would be looking at it saying, look, it'd be interesting to see what O'Donnell can do next year, etc., etc. Pats were in a position of strength here as well. And to be honest, they've blown it completely. And I'd have serious question marks at the people at the club, be it board members, whoever comes up with these decisions. People might say, they haven't the investment or whatever. They've decent money though. They still have decent money at that club at St.Patrick Athletic. And as I said, they're in Europe. A few players have left. There's wages available. They didn't need to bring in that many players. And I reckon one of the reasons is, I think if they matched what Steve O'Donnell kind of wanted, I think he would have stayed. And as I said, with the contract as well. But very, very, very disheartening. Very, very disappointing. I know a lot of Pats fans are going to be angry as well at this. Just let me know what you think in the comments, guys. League of Ireland fan, Pats fan, Dundalk fan. Is there anything else you'd add to this? And I suppose subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Hit your bell notification button. And look, I'll talk to you later, guys.